Did you know that the way your body processes the food you eat can have a direct impact on your energy levels, health, and even your risk of diseases like diabetes? That's right, the answer lies in your metabolism, specifically, the balance between glucose and insulin. In this video, we'll explore how these processes work and how certain types of foods can affect your long-term health. Stick around until the end because I'm going to share some valuable tips on how to improve your metabolic control and prevent diseases like insulin resistance. Let's finally understand how nutrition and lifestyle impact your body and how you can reverse these effects. Let's talk about what happens in our bodies when we eat foods rich in fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. When we consume fat, it's stored as triglycerides, which are formed by the linking of 3 fatty acids to a glycerol structure. This glycerol represents a small part of the calories present in the stored fat, about 5%. The big question here is that, although glycerol can be turned into glucose, this process happens very slowly, which means fat has almost no impact on blood sugar. Now, if we visually compare the impact of different types of food on blood sugar levels, we could say that carbohydrates would have a huge impact, like a big spike on the graph, while proteins would have a much smaller effect, and fats would hardly even appear. To give you a numerical idea, carbohydrates can raise glucose levels by 70 to 100%, proteins range from 10 to 20%, and fats stay at extremely low levels. In the short term, the biggest impact on blood sugar comes from the foods we choose to eat, but in the long run, the main factor that affects our glucose levels is insulin resistance. Let's understand how this works. When we eat food, especially carbohydrates, the sugar from those foods is absorbed into the bloodstream. In order for it to enter the cells, we need insulin, which acts like a key to allow sugar in. The higher the glucose spike, the more insulin is needed. If we primarily eat fats, the increase in blood sugar is minimal and consequently, insulin hardly needs to act. Now imagine you're drinking a sugary drink like soda with high fructose corn syrup. In this case, your blood sugar will spike rapidly, and insulin will have to act quickly to control this spike. The problem is that if we do this every day, the cells start to resist the effect of insulin. They start to realize they've already received enough sugar and turn off the insulin receptors, leading to insulin resistance. And this process doesn't happen overnight. It takes years for the cells to become insulin resistant, but once it happens, the result is a continuous increase in blood sugar, which creates a vicious cycle: more glucose, more insulin resistance, and so on. And why is fructose an even bigger problem than regular sugar? Fructose has the ability to overload the liver and cause insulin resistance in a different way, contributing to problems like fatty liver. This makes it even harder to manage blood sugar levels, as the liver is unable to process fructose properly. Furthermore, insulin has a direct relationship with blood sugar. The higher the glucose spike, the more insulin is needed. Carbohydrates have the largest impact on this process, followed by proteins, and lastly, fats. However, when we consume foods with a low glycemic index like vegetables and healthy fats, the impact on insulin is much lower. Now the good news, the body has a great capacity for adaptation. Our body's mechanisms are designed to process food and handle glucose, but over time, depending on eating habits and lifestyle, the body starts to wear down. Some people may have a greater ability to process carbohydrates without becoming insulin resistant, but for others, it can happen more quickly, especially if there is no control over the intake of sugary foods and refined carbs. Over time, this can lead to carbohydrate intolerance and type 2 diabetes. A common mistake in diagnosing insulin resistance is measuring only glucose levels when in reality, insulin is the key to understanding metabolism. When we start to develop insulin resistance, the body needs to produce more insulin to control blood sugar, which causes insulin levels to rise, even though glucose levels remain stable. That's why measuring only blood sugar isn't enough. The problem is that when insulin levels start to rise, it becomes much harder for the body to process glucose, which increases the risk of diseases like diabetes. This process can take decades to manifest, but once insulin resistance sets in, treatment becomes more difficult. The good news is that it's possible to reverse these damages. Although it takes time for the body to adapt to a healthier diet, it's possible to restore balance. This primarily involves reducing the intake of sugars, refined carbohydrates, and fructose-rich foods. Additionally, Including foods like leafy vegetables and healthy fats in your diet can help manage glucose and insulin levels. Intermittent fasting can also be a great tool to reduce insulin production and improve metabolic health. Another important tip is to engage in low-impact exercises like gentle walks, which help the body burn fat and lower blood sugar levels without the need for intense exercise that could increase cortisol production and elevate blood sugar. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this content and want to keep learning about how to improve your health and well-being, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the upcoming videos. Let's keep this journey of health and self-awareness together. I wish you lots of health and success. Take care of your body, and I'll see you in the next video.